Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning because we have a lot to cover. Not just on the immigration front, not just on the attack on Iran. We have some major New York State updates from Governor Hochul's visit to Washington at that hearing, that congressional hearing. We're going to be talking about that, some of the implications, as Elise Stefanik was part of the questioning. Also, just very quickly, we'll give you an update on the mayoral debate because Andrew Cuomo was asked directly about the COVID nursing home deaths. We'll talk about that as well. But first, let's go to some viewer comments. We received viewer comments, some after yesterday's show, some before today's show. And this section of our program brought to you by Steuben's Senior Services, empowering seniors to age at home. Go to Steuben's Senior Services Fund.org. All right, first up, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I'm sure you won't see this until tomorrow's episode. Yes, this came in after the program. But I was thinking about how the Democrats are portraying Gavin Newsom as a hero right now. It reminds me of watching Andrew Cuomo during COVID and how he was supposed to be a great leader in saving us from the pandemic and saving us from Trump. Trump sent ships to New York to house the sick. And I'm curious if they were ever even used, because was it even really necessary? And we know that instead Cuomo put the sick people in the nursing home, which was a disaster. I'm going to continue reading this. I worded that strange, but the media presented it as he was protecting us from Trump. That's not what this viewer said. He said, or she said, the viewer said, he was supposed to save us from the pandemic, even though Trump sent that ship that he did not use. Again, putting COVID-positive patients in nursing homes, one of the most disastrous decisions in all of the pandemic. And you're right, they're portraying Gavin Newsom as some type of hero, riding in to protect the world from Trump. Now I see he's a part of the political show when it comes to that senator being escorted from Kristi Noem's press conference. He's trying to make political hay off of it. He's got a lot to overcome. That's why the media is putting kind of a full court press to save his reputation, because even many in the left, Hollywood elites, were turning on him during the wildfire disaster and his horrible handling of it. But I'll continue with what this viewer said. To me, COVID was real, but it was over-exaggerated and used for political means on both sides. And it seems like the immigration issue is the same now. And I just wish our leaders on both sides would stop creating the stress and chaos for the hardworking people of America. And you raise a great point there. And the media and politicians specifically on the left, when it comes to the big, beautiful bill. For instance, I know that's not what this was in reference to, but the big, beautiful bill, the way they try to scare our senior citizens, try to scare them in, and the American people in general, with Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security cuts. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski, former congressman. And it's a story as old as time. That's what the Democrats always try to push, and the media is more than happy to help in that narrative. And what that does, because it's not true, what it does is scares a population that just should not be put in that situation, where people are losing sleep, they're getting sick to their stomachs because of what the media is telling them and lying to them about. It is very frustrating. I understand that viewer's point, so thank you for that. Comment from a different viewer. Morning, Frank. Good morning. Question: who's going to pay for all the damages caused by the rioters in California? This includes several cars, cleaning up the graffiti, and so on. You are, viewer. Residents of California as well. I don't know how much federal money will go to it, so when I say you know what I mean. The taxpayer will be funding that. As simple as that. That's why Trump, one of the reasons why Trump felt the need to send in the National Guard and the Marines, because without some show of force, these rioters, we've seen it happen in the past, will destroy cities. Final comment: even better is that the children are upset and crying like babies. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. It could be the way politicians are reacting to that senator being escorted out of Kristi Noem's press conference. I'm not sure. That's what I'm going to assume it's in reference to. Okay, last night, breaking story: Netanyahu announced Operation Rising Lion to roll back the Iranian threat. That was the campaign that happened yesterday, targeting Iran's nuclear and missile infrastructure. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed decisive action, declaring this morning, late last night, that the Jewish state will continue striking Iran, quote, as long as necessary to neutralize what he called an existential nuclear threat, concluding with a defiant message, saying, long live Israel, long live America, and he called on God to bless the forces of civilization everywhere. He said, for decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly and openly called for Israel's destruction, backing up their genocidal rhetoric with a nuclear weapons development program. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atomic bombs. 9. This presents a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people suffered through the Holocaust, perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust at the hands of the Iranian regime. And the media is presenting this in a way that Trump was not caught off guard. He was aware that the attack was going to happen. And interesting how no one told Iran. That's not how it happens in Democrat administrations. That's why very often Israel and other allies will have to keep things very close to the vest, specifically Israel, though. But what they're trying to suggest is that Trump did not want this, and that he lost some type of negotiation, if you will, with Israel. But if you look at the reporting from Israel, it was more of a lulling Iran into kind of being fat and happy, as the saying goes, not thinking anything would happen. So that seems to be more of, I think, the negotiation tactic from Trump, lull them into thinking a peace deal was near, and then attempting to end the nuclear program in Iran. Israel struck key Iranian nuclear and missile facilities, including Iran's main uranium enrichment facility, Iran's top nuclear scientists involved in bomb development, and Iran's ballistic missile program, which could soon carry nuclear payloads. Now, it did, as it says here, killed top military officials with Operation Rising Lion. It was a mission to roll back Iran's threat to Israel's very survival. We can't leave these threats for the next generation, said Netanyahu. Because if you don't act now, there will not be another generation. If we don't act now, we simply won't be here. We have internalize the lessons of history. When an enemy says he intends to destroy you, believe him. When the enemy develops the capabilities to destroy you, stop him. Now, General Hossein Salami, it can't be Salami. I know I'm not pronouncing that right, but boy, it sure looks like it. The head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of the country's military, are believed to have been killed in the barrage, as were 2 nuclear scientists, according to Iran's state media. The Revolutionary Guard oversees Iran's ballistic missiles, which it has used twice to strike Israel since the Israeli-Hamas war began on October 7, 2023. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio released a statement last night saying, "Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel." Now, however, the U.S. may be forced to act to protect Israel, is what's being reported, and prevent the Jewish state from using its nuclear weapons, according to a source. The U.S. Embassy in Israel has since directed all U.S. government employees and their family members to shelter in place until further notice. Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, said the Jewish state had reached a point of no return. "We cannot wait for another time to act. We have no choice. History, both distant and recent, has taught us that in the face of ambition to destroy us, we must not bow our heads, and so we fight to preserve our existence. Freedom is granted to those who are willing to fight for it." Now, needless to say, Iran has threatened to retaliate, saying that Israel will face severe punishment after the strikes. At the White House earlier on Thursday, if you recall, President Trump said an Israeli airstrike looks like it's something that could very well happen, but stopped short of saying any operation was imminent. According to Danny Danon, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, he said, "This is a moment to make moral decisions. Stand by Israel or you'll be partners in a dangerous silence." Now, Senate Majority Leader John Thune said America stands ready to work with President Trump and with our allies in Israel to restore peace in the region, and first and foremost to defend the American people from Iranian aggression, especially our troops and civilians serving overseas. Now, the primary nuclear enrichment facility is damaged in the attack, and what I would say is good news. We're just going to talk about this kind of in the first, well, look at all these waves coming in, first section, but we have so much to get to, so we're going to be breezing through some what you would call major topics very quickly. Netanyahu also yesterday expressing solidarity with the people of Iran, saying, "To the brave people of Iran, I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with a brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near, and when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again." In retaliation, Iran did launch more than 100 drones at Israel. That was confirmed by the IDF. They are working to intercept the threats. The retaliation attack by Tehran comes after Israel's Operation Rising Lion, as mentioned. Now, again, the media, specifically CNN here, Trump didn't want Israel to strike. They did it anyway. So no matter what the storyline is always going to be that Trump loses in some way. That is why the media has lost all credibility. If we get a chance, the mainstream media, if we get a chance to talk about it later, there's another person that looks like they could maybe be on the chopping block after Terry Moran's ouster. They're looking at the paycheck of one Anderson Cooper, who makes a lot of money, and they're wondering, as his ratings plummet, if that paycheck is worth it. We may get to that a little bit later on. But in the hours before the Israeli warplanes carried out an attack, President Trump made clear it was an outcome he hoped to avoid. He said, "I don't want them going in because, that would blow it," meaning the diplomatic efforts to curb the nuclear ambitions. The fact Israel went in anyway without any U.S. involvement and against the president's publicly stated wishes now thrusts Trump into one of the biggest tests of his young presidency. That's a weird way of putting it. By his own telling, the strikes risk scuttling his attempts at diplomacy with Tehran, even as his top envoy was preparing to depart for Oman for another round of talks this weekend. Saying here, devoid of even boilerplate language offering support for Israel and its defense, the statement made clear this would be Israel's conflict, not Trump's. But the way the Times of Israel is presenting it is much different than kind of the biased left-wing media, where the Times of Israel is saying the U.S. kind of helped, not kind of, I don't know why I said it like that. The exact headline is, U.S. helped lull Iran into belief no attack was imminent. And I think there's a point to be made there, that Israel became kind of complacent, thinking that because of these peace talks, nothing was going to happen. And Israel saw the opportunity. Now, Trump was aware of Israel's strike on Iran beforehand, said there was no surprise. Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. And we are hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We will see. There are several people in leadership in Iran that will not be coming back, said Trump. Trump also spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu several times in recent days. Now, the IDF expects the operation against Iran to last for several days, it is being reported. The IDF official saying, we are in the window of strategic opportunities. We have reached the point of no return, and there is no choice but to act now. Now, the U.S. could join if initial strikes succeed. The White House is closely monitoring developments, with officials suggesting U.S. involvement could follow a successful Israeli opening. Okay? Now, just to show you more about the kind of media bias on this, I know I have to take a break. You know what? Yeah, I've got two more quick things on it, and then we're going to get to New York State issues, because we really have got a lot to cover when it comes to New York. There were some rioting yesterday, a lot of people ignoring the curfew in L.A. Again, the media, there's an interesting study about CNN and how often they say mostly peaceful protests. It's almost become cliche. We'll talk about that. We also have a few things here just about the Trump administration in general, but I'd love to have you weigh in. So we'll wrap up our discussion on Israel when we come back, but you can weigh in at any time at that number on the bottom of your screen. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here, pardon me, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs.
What better start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Enjoy a take Finger Lakes at Hector Hideaway.
Dine inside or out on the deck for gorgeous lake views, and pair your meal with a local wine, beer, or beverage. Visit us today at Hector Hideaway.
Scamming seniors is a huge problem today. Worldwide, seniors lost $4.8 billion to scammers in 2024. The Steuben County Office for the Aging is here to help. Come to our seminar, Recognizing and Avoiding Financial Scams and Identifying Elder Abuse, Monday, June 18th at the Centenary United Methodist Church in Bath from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Learn how to identify scams, how to protect yourself, and fraud watch tips. Come to Centenary United Methodist Church in Bath, New York from 1:30 to 4 p.m. on June 18th. Learn more. Go to steubencountyny.gov/235.
If you or loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and this is the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program, empowering seniors to age at home, because we have a viewer comment. I'm not sure about Trump lulling Iran, because it makes no sense when you consider that he started to vacate the embassy there, citing unrest in the country. The argument being, though, that they were still in the peace talk negotiations with Iran. Not peace talks, that's not the right term. The nuclear negotiation, that's what that article is in reference to. Now, NBC's chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, stated that Iran officials told him they didn't want a conflict, and there are hardliners in Iran who are stressing that this was a waste of time, that the U.S. was just trying to fool Iran, was playing to sort of expose their weakness, that they would be duped in the end, that the Iranians shouldn't go down this path, and those hardliners will be proven right. Okay. That Israel will prove them right, that they shouldn't have entered in the nuclear. Listen, at the end of the day, Israel has to look out for Israel. It's as simple as that. And to take out, I don't see a scenario where taking out their nuclear capabilities is a bad scenario. Now, even, you're not going to hear this from too many Democrats, but U.S. Senator John Fetterman pledged his support for the attack by Israel on Iran, saying, "Our commitment to Israel must be absolute, and I fully support this attack." He said the U.S. must provide the necessary military, intelligence, and weaponry to support the Israeli strike against Iran. Now, the New York Post editorial board said late last night the IDF began what it said would be several days of airstrikes on Iran's nuclear program and associated assets. Good for Israel, acting as it has before, to preempt a clear existential threat to its continued existence. No serious player on the world stage can honestly deny that Tehran has been on its final run gaining nuclear weapons. And while some will quibble about whether the regime intends to use nukes to destroy, quote, the little Satan, as it now called Israel for 5 decades, Jerusalem could hardly afford to take the chance. Iran state media reports the death of multiple top nuclear scientists, as well as General Hossein Salami, the chief of the Revolutionary Guards, the central force behind all Tehran's expansionists' ambition. Tehran will hit back hard, and the IDF can't be remotely confident it will intercept every drone and missile as it has the last 2 times. Israel must expect to hurt, hoping that the pain is survivable and simply the necessary price for fending off extinction. The rest of the Middle East, and indeed the world, gets to free ride on Israel's bold self-defense. The IDF is moving to take out what would have been a menace to everyone else, including those foolish enough to think Iran is an ally. President Trump did his best to avoid this, striving to negotiate the verifiable end of Iran's nuclear quest. Tehran declined, betting it could beat the clock. Fact is, Hamas's October 7, 2023 terror assault on Israel and refusal to surrender as the Gaza war steadily destroyed the entire terror group, plus the attacks on Israel from Iran's proxies across the region, should be seen largely as Tehran's efforts to create a window for its final nuclear run. Iran's strategy failed. We can only pray that Israel's strikes do everything they need to. All right, there is your update on Operation Rising Lion breaking last night. Israel destroying some of Iran's nuclear capabilities. Time will tell where this heads, but we'll be following it closely here on the program. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll read your comments. Where do you hear what's happening in Albany? Well, let me start first. Albany coming to Washington. Governor Hochul testifying at Capitol Hill. We're going to talk about that. Quick things about Cuomo and the mayoral debate. And then we're going to get into, I think, next to Israel going after Iran's nuclear capability, the next biggest topic is the senator escorted out of Kristi Noem's press conference, Senator Padilla. So we will talk about that as well. Oh, I forgot to mention, Kim Frock is going to be our guest in the next hour. She's going to tell us about, it almost seems too good to be true, this amazing opportunity at SUNY CCC, SUNY Corning Community College. If you or someone you know is between the ages of 25 and 55, you're going to want to listen to this because it gives you an opportunity to get a college degree if you don't have one for absolutely free. And this isn't, political type thing where student loans are forgiven. This is an amazing opportunity. So please let your friends and neighbors and family know if they're thinking about maybe pursuing a degree and have not done so, and they're in the age group of 25 to 55, to tune in to check out what Kim Frock has to say. But we got to take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hard water makes it hard to keep your home looking like the work of art you've always envisioned it would be. Culligan softeners reduce hard water buildup and your cleaning time, transforming every drop, every splash, every rinse into the fine art of a long-lasting clean. With a Culligan water softener, revel in the breathtaking beauty of your home, just the way you've always pictured it. Culligan, water you love.
Vallis Advisory Services has been building long-term relationships in our community for over 35 years. We pride ourselves in the ability of our teams in wealth management and tax and business to work together to offer coordinated planning services for our clients. The mission of Vallis Advisory Services is to provide specialized wealth management, tax, and business services to help clients meet their personal financial goals. Vallis Advisory Services, Water Street in Elmira, Market Street in Corning. Visit us at vallisinti.com.
I'm Marianne Burke. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you, right here in America. And we're committed to keeping our lineup affordable and free from new tariffs. That's why we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder. So you can get the car you want, at the price you want, knowing Nissan is here for you at the Nissan Summer Sales Event.
Now get 0% APR financing for 60 months on Rogue or Pathfinder, or get a low $239 per month lease on Rogue.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Our picturesque view of historic Market Street, where we happen to be broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Let's go to the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program, where we read, comments. I like this time of year when it's so nice how everybody's walking by and waving. We've been getting some good wave numbers, haven't we? Okay. Absolutely love the takedown and arrest of the child who tried to storm the podium at Noam's press conference. Yes, that is a major story this morning. A lot of people trying to make political theater out of it, like Gavin Newsom, suggesting it shows some type of authoritarianism. Gavin Newsom's trying to save his reputation after the disastrous handling of the LA wildfires and the disastrous handling of the riots as well. So he's participating in kind of this grandstanding. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning. Well, hey, good morning to you too. I was flipping around on the TV last night and I thought I was watching old TV show reruns of the Three Stooges. But then I realized it was in color and it was the new Three Stooges on Capitol Hill. Walls, Pritzker, and Hochul. Yeah, have a great day. Yes, and by the way, I know, and I've never been able to word this properly, but you know what my opinion is on Governor Hochul. She's kind of Johnny Tryhard, but she can't do it. She's trying to be kind of a big power player in the Democrat Party, and then she gives that speech at the DNC that goes horribly, not given a primetime slot either. But then she'll copy kind of the talking points that the Democrats have been making for a while, but she'll do it late. Or she'll do it at awkward intervals. She's not great on her feet. We saw that, not even good on her feet. We saw that yesterday at that meeting on Capitol Hill. It's just she wants to be to the level, because remember, she was never going to be governor until Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace. So she was never going to be a governor to that level, but now she's been put into that position, and she's just not at that level of talent and skill on the politics side. I'm not talking about policy. I'm just saying on the politics, the pure kind of PR of politics. For instance, yesterday saying, if Tom Homan comes to Albany to arrest me, I'll say go for it. She's especially not good at tough talk. But having said that, who else? Everybody, isn't every Democrat been saying essentially the same type of thing? As if Tom Homan stays awake at night thinking, am I going to go after, I better not mess with Hochul. I was going to arrest her, but I better not go after Hochul. So if Tom Homan comes to Albany to arrest me, I'll say go for it. Anything threatening our responsibility is an assault on our democracy. Wow, she got all the talking points in there. Why didn't you mention Social Security while you were at it? Cutting Social Security for just to make sure you got your bingo card filled out. So she defended New York's immigration policy, sanctuary policy, at what has been called a fiery hearing on Capitol Hill. Hochul telling the lawmakers, we cooperate in all criminal investigations, always have, always will. Yes, as the viewer had mentioned, it was Governor Hochul, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, and you may remember this name, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Hochul repeatedly testified that her state works with the federal government in criminal cases involving immigrants. She said that since she took office 4 years ago, the state has handed over more than 1,300 incarcerated non-citizens to Immigration and Customs Enforcement at the end of their prison or jail sentences. States like mine are doing our part. They can't be expected to fix the broken immigration system. Okay. This is someone that, by the way, speaking of the broken immigration system under Biden, remember, she was still campaigning up until the very end. That's why her and her lieutenant governor had their initial falling out, because he came out and spoke against Delgado, spoke against Biden. She was defending him right until the end, because, again, she's not ready for it. She's always behind the 8 ball. Now, the most blunt lines of questioning came from who could be her challenger in the gubernatorial race, Elise Stefanik, and Congressman Mike Lawler asked some pointed questions. Also, our Congressman Nick Langworthy got some great ones in there as well. While questioning Hochul, I'll probably repeat this, but Stefanik cited horrific crimes in New York, saying rapes of young girls, beatings of New York Police Department cops by illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging support of hardworking New York families. Hochul then accused Stefanik of trying to get a viral moment. Stefanik did a great job. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Mike Lawler, he had a little issue with another congressperson. But so those are the names. There's 3 names being thrown around. The favorite is Elise Stefanik. Mike Lawler, probably second favorite. He's obviously a congressman. And then you have Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. But right now, all eyes are on Elise Stefanik. That seems to be who, not just the powers that be in the Republican Party, but those of us on the ground also want Elise Stefanik to jump in and run. But Mike Lawler pressed Hochul on whether she would sign the New York for All Act, a bill under consideration by the state legislature that would limit state collaboration with federal immigration authorities. Hochul did not specify what she would do, saying attending the congressional hearing was keeping me from doing the work of the people back home. Oh, come on. Lawler said, Governor, you've done a terrible job as governor. It's not keeping you from anything. Frankly, New York is better off with you down here and not in the state. That's a good line. Hochul replying, I don't think we're better off with you here. Ooh. Congressman Nick Langworthy, I wish I could play the video because I hate reading the back and forth, but that's really the best way to do it. Congressman Nick Langworthy ripped Governor Hochul for her dangerous green light law that has allowed criminal illegal immigrants to be shielded from federal immigration officials. Mr. Langworthy correctly pointed out the absurdity that New York officials share DMV data with Canadian officials, but America's own law enforcement officers are unable to access the information, putting the safety of officers and the public at risk. He also cited the case of Peruvian national Gianfranco Torres Navarro, wanted for 23 murders, who was in the country illegally, hiding in plain sight in upstate New York thanks to her sanctuary policies. Langworthy saying, Governor Hochul, yes or no, do you think someone who's committed murder or rape in this country, in that they're here illegally, should have tools at their disposal to avoid deportation? Governor Hochul said, as a governor, it is my primary responsibility to protect the people of New York. Those crimes are abhorrent. Langworthy said, whatever response you prepared to give today's Whatever response you prepared to give today dwarfs in comparison to your actions as governor. I would like to remind you of someone named Gianfranco Torres Navarro, an illegal alien and suspected leader of a violent Peruvian gang. He was tied to 23 murders in Peru and came to this country illegally across the southern border. He had his victims' faces tattooed on his body, and he was hiding in plain sight in Endicott, New York, for an extended period of time where ICE could not locate him. And why did it take so long to find him? Because policies like your green light law, which blocks ICE and U.S. Border Patrol agents from accessing critical DMV databases. In fact, it threatens the badges and threatens to charge a felony any officer that shares that DMV data with federal agents. These agents rely on data to be able to know who they're pulling over on the side of the road. They're taking their lives into their hands every time they're trying to, keep our street safe. The really sick irony here is that your government in New York, my home state, freely shares that same DMV data with the government of Canada at our bridges in you and my hometown, but it doesn't share the data with your American federal government. Why, Governor? Hochul saying you're misstating the green light law because we are able to cooperate with federal authorities when there's a crime committed. So, pointedly asking, why did you shield the database, Governor? And Hochul saying anything that they want from us related to investigating a crime is available. Now, I can't keep going on because it's a back and forth. But as she said, my job is to protect the people of New York, and I fight hard every single day. That's what Nick Langworthy, our congressman, said. You're doing a very lousy job of it, Governor. He said, I trust the professionals. You and I aren't police officers. I trust the people out in the field that wear the badge, that are honorable, decent, hardworking people. And you have a record of disrespect to law enforcement, just like you disrespected every corrections officer in the state of New York. You have a lot of gall to come here and criticize the president for using the National Guard to actually bring law and order to the streets of our country. When you sent those same National Guard officers to become corrections officers, after you destroyed the lives of so many of the hardworking corrections officers of the state when you broke their union. What a great point. And we had talked about that a few days ago, the connection there between the corrections officers that she called, the National Guard that she called in to be corrections officers, and then her audacity to criticize the Trump administration for trying to bring safety to the streets, something she knows very little about, public safety. We're going to tell you what Elise Stefanik had to say, and just an overview of Hochul's testifying in front of Congress, and a couple other quick New York State issues, and then many other topics to get to. Busy morning. I see some comments. I see some waves coming in. Keep them coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Your Elmira Pioneers are at home this Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Thursday, June 12th, it's Stitch's birthday and free kids' meals from Texas Roadhouse. Friday, June 13th, it's fireworks, fireworks, fireworks presented by Centrales Health. Sunday, June 15th, it's free Elmira Heat Treat Frisbees and post-game catch with Dad. Get your tickets early. Call 734-2690.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta, a day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14th, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark, get set, row.
Fox website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Wow, we've got a lot of comments coming in. Thank you for this. As a matter of fact, this might be the whole segment. I'm still compiling them. You know what? I am still compiling them. I'm going to miss a couple of years, but we will get to them in the next segment, okay? But this is the Student Senior Services Fund section of our program where we read viewer comments, and this isn't even all of them. We'll get to more. I love shows like this. Thank you. Hochul smiling and smirking was embarrassing. She had no clue on the law or even her own executive orders. Yeah, it was embarrassing for the state. Again, it proved that she's just not ready for prime time, in my opinion. That's why I was kind of looking forward to it. I think it would show, because on her feet, just she doesn't have it when it's off the cuff. Another comment, excuse me. Democrats have become thugs with no skills, just swearing and bull rushing authority to get attention. A lot of attention grabbing, isn't there? Yes, that was made clear again yesterday. The political theater of it all, even some Democrats criticizing the political theater, the grandstanding. That's really what the Democrat Party has become. Look at Cory Booker. Became the face of the resistance temporarily. Why? Because he gave a 25-hour speech that accomplished nothing. So a lot of hot air, a lot of bluster that accomplished nothing, and that was supposed to be representative of the Democrat Party, which I tend to agree that it is representative of that. So yes, great point. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning. Well, hey, good morning. Appreciate that. Another comment. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you as well. I'm very concerned about the escalating conflict with Israel. Fair enough. I'm even more concerned that so many people I see posts from don't even consider this a threat to the United States. I think it's the same people who don't understand that on October 7th, Israel was attacked in a horrific way and there are still hostages. And what part of defending yourself and fighting back makes you the bad guy? What's wrong with people? You hit the nail right on the head. There's people that want to completely ignore October 7th, and we see the anti-Semitic protests and the anti-Semitic speeches and rallies. They want to ignore October 7th. That's why with Greta Thunberg, it was so nice to read that they forced her on her trip over to Gaza when she got sent back, forced her to watch the atrocities of October 7th. If you recall, Ilhan Omar's daughter was at a protest, and she attended, Representative Omar, she attended for a while. This was on college campus, one of the encampments. And they said, she said, it was almost harassment that there was a counter-protest against the anti-Semites, that they were showing videos to the anti-Semitic protesters, showing videos of what happened on October 7th, and she said that was wrong. They shouldn't be allowed to show that. Imagine that. So yes, I think people want to put their head in the sand. They don't realize the threat that Iran poses to Israel is also very much a threat that Iran poses to the United States. So to the New York Post's piece, that Israel is doing the hard work to save us all. That's why we pray they're successful, to save so many countries who would have to fear for a nuclear Iran. So it is frustrating to watch the coverage. It's just like it's frustrating to see these people jump onto the anti-Semitic bandwagon because it's a fad. How sick is that? It's a fad. It's a cool pop culture thing to do to prove how, I guess, anti-Semitic you are. So much that Hamas's president, someone would call that a Freudian slip. Harvard's president, so much that Harvard's president is saying that he was willing to take a 25% pay cut to show his solidarity with the anti-Semitic protesters because, in his mind, those protesters better represent the Harvard brand. So I know that was a long tangent on my part, but I really appreciate the comment. Comment from a different viewer. By the way, I should have put up because this section is brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, I got to put my logo up there. Comment from a different viewer. Governor Hochul argued that New York's policies do not prevent cooperation with federal authorities in criminal matters, but rather focus on not participating in civil immigration enforcement, which she stated is the federal government's job. Is she saying that she's not responsible for her party's lack of control of the southern border at the state level? Good point. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. This is Mark. Hi, Mark. No one in New York State voted for Hochul. Well, at least not originally. The second time around, it's a city again. And she is doing a horrible job. That part I agree with. And her visit to Washington was a failure. Come on, Stefanik, get in the race. I agree, Mark. I want to see that announcement. It's not horribly late. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I think it's an important note that Lee Zeldin got in last time around in April. It is now June, but again, Elise Stefanik is coming in, if you agree with the polls, she's coming in with more support than Lee Zeldin got when Lee Zeldin finished on Election Day. He was down 6 points when he lost to Hochul. Stefanik down 1 point and hasn't even declared. So, but I'm with you. Get in the race, please. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. You cracked me up with Johnny Tryhard. Yes, Johnny Tryhard, Governor Hochul. I haven't heard that one, but it is so true. Elise Stefanik could use clips from her hearing with Hochul as campaign ads. It was like a kindergartner in the principal's office. Elise Stefanik is New York's brightest star. I totally agree. One of the reasons I was so excited when she was nominated for ambassador to the UN, I know it ultimately didn't work out, but after watching her, I sometimes just watch the clips of her going after those college presidents and administrators on the anti-Semitic issue, and she just does an amazing job. And I thought, how great will she be at the UN? But it's I think, very commendable that she said, I'm going to do what's best for the country, do what's best for the party, and return to Washington and return to the Capitol because my president, our country needs me. The Trump agenda needs me. Because of the slim majority in the House. So she went back and, again, her name was taken out of the running for ambassador to UN. She got the nomination, but it never went to obviously the hearings. I think that's really commendable of her, and I think that proves a little bit of who she is. When we come back, we're going to tell you what, if you missed Elise Stefanik, how she handled her questioning of Governor Hochul, which many are saying is a precursor, a look at what the future could hold in gubernatorial debates or in that campaign. But we're also going to read your viewer comments, and guess what I just saw, everybody? I saw a Climate Fact Friday message from Bob. So we'll bring that up. Of course, everybody looks forward to that. He had a busy week. He had 2 Climate Fact comments this week, because Ken asked him a question, and he did his civic duty and responded to us here on Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's the Watkins Glen Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta June 14th at 2 p.m. It'll be a great time. And you'll be saying H2O to these boat designs. So what are you doing June 14th? Go to the Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta.
Attention all, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta. A day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14th, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark, get set, row.
It's a new season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So many comments coming in. We're having a blast on this Friday morning edition. We read comments thanks to the good people at Stu Ben's Senior Services Fund. They sponsor this section of our program where we read your comments. If you're new to the show, you see that number on the bottom of the screen. Reach out at any time. Okay. Most of the civilized world doesn't simply let everyone cross the border and then figure out what to do with them later. Amen. And so, I think it was CNN this morning saying America's position on Trump's immigration raids is complicated. Well, if it's complicated, it means that the American people support it. They don't want to admit that. Poll after poll has shown that. Because you're exactly right. We had an open, porous border, and now Trump has been tasked with figuring out what to do, how to keep us safe, how to deport all the illegal immigrants that were allowed in during the Biden administration. Comment from a different viewer: why have only the Democrats been protesting in Corning every Saturday? Well, first of all, it's not just every Saturday. Monday, Saturday, sometimes throughout the week there'll be one just for good measure, I guess. So is your question, why don't Republicans kind of counter protest? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure if that's what your question is. But it's getting to the point where you're just used to seeing people walk by with signs. So I know this Saturday is the No Kings protest happening in 1,900 cities nationwide or something like that, I read this morning. And we'll see how that goes on the heels of these LA riots, if they turn into, and we hope not, turn into those type of actions, or if it'll be massive protests in the street. Someone sent one yesterday that there's going to be one in Horseheads. I saw an announcement there's going to be one in Bath. I think we all assume there's going to be one in Corning, but I know Corning is also holding a Pride Month event, I believe, on Saturday. I think it's this weekend. So I don't know if that interferes with people wanting to protest. I don't know. Okay, comment from a different viewer. I don't understand why Elise needs to wait any longer. If it truly is her intent to run, I think it could be a big mistake. It's getting late. Well, one thing I will say, Republicans have a history of waiting too long to get into gubernatorial races in New York, unfortunately. But I'm with you. The earlier, the better. I will say she doesn't want to wait much longer. I don't want it to be one of these Labor Day type announcements or after Labor Day where you wait all summer. I hope that's not the case, but we have no indication one way or the other. It could happen right now. It could happen 6 months from now. Again, I'm with you. The sooner the better. But whether or not she heeds our advice, time will tell. But yes, I'm with you. I wish she would announce. Comment from a different viewer. Don't forget to mention the good news that NPR and PBS will lose billions of dollars in taxpayer funding. $1.1 billion is what NPR themselves is reporting. And I know it actually got Mike Lawler, who's also a potential candidate, John Mannion, Representative John Mannion, yelling at him. I guess there's audio on Empire Report today. A lot of cuss words, so I can't play it. Where Lawler even wrote, John Mannion was entirely unhinged and unprofessional. That was a shameful display that exposed his complete lack of temperament. No wonder numerous staffers have previously alleged a toxic work environment. He should go seek help for anger management and blank off. He was saying that these funding cuts are an assault on democracy And it's shameful and Lawler's capitulation and complicity to what has happened. Basically saying, grow some guts, Lawler, and vote against these cuts, but voting for the cuts. Yes, that's great news, okay? NPR, PBS losing its taxpayer funding. It's not even a secret anymore. We know their bias. We know how far left they are. That's why the stereotype is the hippies listen to NPR. So this is something Republicans have promised for well over a decade, perhaps decades. And finally, under this administration and Republican leadership, they're doing it. And it's a long time coming. Your money should not be funding outlets that push propaganda. Propaganda you may not agree with. So I think it's a wonderful thing. They will survive. Don't worry. They have plenty of money coming in. All right, we got to take another break. Yes, I do have a Climate Fact Friday from Bob. Don't worry. And I have about 20 other comments. You guys are great this morning. Thank you. So our last segment will be catching up on some of these comments and maybe even kicking off the next hour with them as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Attention all, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta, a day full of fun for all ages. Register at WatkinsGlen.com/Waterfront Festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14th, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark, get set, row.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about we. Thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
If you have one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
I think we have some type of bug on the roof cam there. Welcome back. Of course, the roof cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go. And we're going to wrap up this hour with all your comments. The comment section of our program brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund. Empowering seniors to age at home. Comment from the first viewer here. GM's $4 billion blockbuster announcement that they are moving some major auto production from Mexico back to Michigan. Absolutely. A huge win. Exactly what Trump has been pushing for. This happened during the first Trump administration. A lot of people returning. Wonderful news. Yes, you guys are getting ahead of me. Breaking all this great news on the program. Comment from a different viewer. I'm not sure that it will matter if Elise Stefanik enters the governor's race late. Her name would spread like a California wildfire, especially with Hochul bashing her. When she makes it official, I fully expect you to sing Sinatra's New York, New York song. Start spreading the news. I want people to stay tuned. I won't sing. No promises. I will be excited, but I don't think you have any worry that I will be singing that song. Okay. Here's a comment from a different viewer. Don't forget, you got a regatta. That's right, the Cardboard Boat Regatta this Saturday. This viewer is saying, it's been 6 years since I've been in the race. It's a lot of fun. I hope I stay dry. It's probably 58. Oh, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there, of course, as well. Come over and say hi, or let me know what what boat you have. I'd love to come over and see the boat. It is a lot of fun. You got a regatta. We're going to be broadcasting the kind of highlights, if you will, of the regatta, and I'll get you those times and dates. The first one to be broadcast will be on June the 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. on Big Fox. So yeah, tell me more about your boat. How's the construction going? And again, I don't know if you know your numbers yet, but if you see me, stop over. I'll stop over and say hi at the boat. All right, Ken writes. Oh no. All right. I promise. Climate Fact Friday from Bob at the top of the hour, and we've got a great comment from Ken and any other comments that come in during break. But we got to wrap up hour number 1. You guys are wonderful this morning. We're having a great time. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hour number 2, mere moments away.
Advanced robotic surgery is now available in the Southern Tier. With the Da Vinci Surgical System, experienced local surgeons at UR Medicine St. James and Jones Memorial Hospitals can perform minimally invasive procedures with greater precision.
That means less pain, shorter hospital stays, and a faster recovery so you can get back to life sooner.
Trust the expertise of your local surgeons and the most advanced technology for your surgery.
You no longer need to travel for cutting-edge surgical care.
Visit robotics.urmc.edu for more information.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta. A day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I am your host, Frank Acom. We've got so many comments to get to, so many topics to get to. You're going to be glad if you're just waking up that you're joining us, because we're having a blast on this morning's edition of Frankly Speaking, like we do every morning. This is the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. This is when we read viewer comments. What a great way to kick off the second hour. Stellantis shifts auto manufacturing jobs from Canada to Illinois. Honda is also moving some manufacturing from Canada and Mexico. Yes, a lot. Trump, I've said this on the program before, I somehow got on their press contact list. Wow, they are busy, that press team, receiving a lot of press releases. But yes, win after win after win. And that's one of the themes of many of his emails. Okay, comment from Ken. Ken writes in, watching Hochul in Congress yesterday confirmed my belief that she is nothing more than a mouthpiece for the liberal Democrats that actually run the state. She has no idea on what has transpired or what she has signed into law. She is a human autopen for whoever is running the state. After seeing how Biden and Hochul have been used as puppets for others to control, I'm starting to think that this is now the norm. Democrats that get elected to Congress, governorship, or even the presidency are completely controlled by others. Thank you, Ken. We're going to talk a little bit more about Hochul's time at the Capitol. And finally, we've all been waiting for it. His second appearance this week, Climate Fact Friday from Bob. Good morning to all, he says. This is another Climate Fact Friday from Bob. I understand some of our New York State assemblymen want to limit the number of cattle to 700 head that a farmer can have on one farm. Yes, just to get a little background before we talk what Bob has to say. There were 2 assembly people. Assemblyman and a senator, maybe, both from downstate, one from Brooklyn, one from Manhattan, that was saying if you own a farm, they have this bill that put forward, if you own a farm, you can have no more, you cannot get the permit to have more than 700 heads of cattle. Okay, Bob continues. This will, of course, save the planet. I wonder if they figured that out over a couple of ice lattes. According to the EPA, methane gas from cattle has been going down in recent years. Methane from cattle accounts for a whopping 4% of all greenhouse gases produced in the U.S. Methane gas also has a very short time span in the atmosphere. The largest contributor to the greenhouse effect is the gas water vapor. That does not fit any climate change narrative from the left, so you never hear that fact. According to the U.S. Agricultural Department, consumption of beef and pork is on the rise. Gen Z being largely responsible for the increased consumption. Interesting. As always, everyone have a safe and great weekend. Fire up those grills and give Dad a nice, big, thick steak. Thank you, Climate Fact Friday with Bob. We appreciate it. Okay. So Elise Stefanik and Governor Hochul, the hot topic here on the program this morning, faced off over the sanctuary policies of our state. And Congresswoman Stefanik, who many people want to run for governor, many people speculate she is going to run for governor, stumped the governor in questions about high-profile migrant crimes. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Cali is? Stefanik asked. Well, Hochul, again, proving she's just not ready to be there, says, I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases. Oh, there is many cases? Doesn't that speak to your leadership? But she had to be snarky. She wanted to get that little bit of jab, I guess, a jab in there. These are high-profile cases. New Yorkers know about them, and you don't? Stefanik asked. Stefanik is so good at this. She would have been so good at the UN. Stefanik, what a great line. These are high-profile cases. New Yorkers know about them. You don't? Stefanik also grilled Hochul on Wilson Castillo Diaz, a migrant accused of raping a 5-year-old, and Raymond Rojos Basilio, a migrant accused of molesting an 11-year-old in Queens. Hochul didn't recognize those two either. Hochul appeared before the House government, we know all about that. I don't have to go back to that. The New York governor was also put on blast by Firebrand Representative Jim Jordan, who drilled her over a Jesus Romero Hernandez, a Mexican migrant released from upstate Tompkins County Jail by the local sheriffs despite ICE having a judicial warrant for the arrest. So Jordan said a court order and a detainer for a guy who did the things Mr. Hernandez did, and Tompkins County can't hold him an hour and 18 minutes, and you won't say that's wrong? Hochul saying, I have said we cooperate when there's a criminal case for someone who's committed a crime. Hochul said the state has helped U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement remove over 1,300 criminal migrants since she became governor in 2021. But she repeatedly refused to say if Tompkins County, which has its own policy against cooperating with ICE, was wrong not to hold Ramiro Hernandez an additional hour before the feds arrived. The suspect pleaded guilty to assault charges but walked despite a federal deportation order. That was a horrible situation. That person should not have been out there, Hochul responded. Hochul renewed the state's controversial sanctuary policy, first defined under an executive order by Cuomo. Many localities around the state, such as New York City, have their own, often more rigorous sanctuary policies. Representative Nick Langworthy blamed New York's policies for releasing Jose Antonio Labera, as we mentioned earlier. Langworthy blasted the green light law. This is an important line that Langworthy made as well. Your bail reform law is the reason Laken Riley is dead. It's beyond belief. This is denial and excuses, Governor. Republicans across the board came to the hearing with knives sharpened for the Democrats. James Comer saying, let's be clear, sanctuary policies do not protect Americans. They protect criminals, illegal aliens. Governor Hochul's sanctuary policies cost taxpayers billions to house, feed, and provide driver's licenses for illegal aliens, while the cost of rent rises and hospitals are overrun. Her defiance of federal law invites crime to plague communities across the state. What the Post editorial board said about this, and we're going to wrap up. Don't forget to get your comments in because we've had such a great time with our comments. But Governor Kathy Hochul got a well-deserved scolding from congressmen outraged over her efforts to protect illegal immigrant criminals from ICE. And her responses were beyond pathetic because she has no good defense. And she's not good on off the cuff anyway. So this was a powder keg for her. That's why we kind of anticipated. We're looking forward to watching this testimony because she is not to that level where she is going to get. I don't imagine, unless you go to maybe the far left outlets this morning, where you're going to say, Hochul destroys Republican congressperson. She just doesn't have it. She looks nervous. I think the term that the Post editorial board puts here, pathetic, is justifiable. When Elise Stefanik cited Sebastian Zapita Kelly, an illegal immigrant who came to New York and is accused of fatally setting fire to a woman on the F train, Hochul didn't even know who he was, and that was a major story. And wasn't it later that day she was taking photos in the subway to talk about how safe it was? Nor did she know the names of other notorious illegal immigrants who'd been in New York and are linked to horrific crimes. And trying to be snarky to Elise Stefanik, she actually says, I'm sure you'll tell me who it is. There's many high-profile cases or many big cases. So you admit there's many cases, that there's a public safety crisis in this state. Quote, there are high-profile cases. But I love that. New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. As the Post says, after Stefanik's role yesterday, it looks even more likely that she'll run against Hochul next year. But again, don't wait so long. Nor could the governor bring herself to say that Tompkins County officials were wrong to release Ramiro Hernandez. Representative Nick Langworthy and Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed Hochul's policies for the murder of 22-year-old Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, noting, hey, we got waves. Noting that her killer, Jose Antonio Albera, was nabbed in New York on child endangerment charges but quickly freed. They cited New York's green light law, which bars state officials from sharing drivers' info, as we mentioned. Hochul claimed her office does cooperate with federal authorities, but also admitted New York welcomes illegal immigrants with open arms and has for 400 years. The problem, of course, is that unlike migrants of the past, illegal immigrants are, illegal. They have no right to be in America in the first place. Yet President Biden waved in millions, nonetheless, mostly with little to no vetting. These border jumpers effectively cut in front of those waiting to enter legally, cost taxpayers billions, overwhelm schools and public services, and taking jobs from citizens. And far too many feel free to commit the most heinous of crimes. Hochul seemed unfazed by all this and by lawmakers' anger and that of the family members of illegal immigrants victims. New Yorkers should be just as livid as they are. So another pathetic, and I like that term, performance from our governor, and an exciting, what's the word I want to look for? Kind of excitement around Elise Stefanik and the potential for a gubernatorial run. Now, the state Senate and the Assembly did pass a package of prison reform bills. I'm not going to go through each one, but we had kind of talked about this the other day. Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who voted for the bill, told fellow lawmakers she had a very tough time watching the video of Brooks' death. That's what this, we talked about it yesterday, is more in reference to kind of tying the hands of corrections officers than it is about the criminals. There were some good ones, some good issues in here. We're learning more about it. DOCCS spokesperson Thomas Malley said that when asked about the package of bills, the department does not comment on pending legislation. In addition to prison reform, the Democrat-controlled houses were considering a large number of bills, but the Senate and Assembly did pass the package. Does not look great, but I know we have some COs out there, and I would love to know your thoughts on it, as I'm sure you're following it closely. Now, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, we don't have time to play the whole video. He sent me the great press conference they did yesterday, but the Republicans in Albany were slamming the revised New York HEAT Act. They tried to rebrand it. We talked about it yesterday. They held a very important press conference. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano saying, Albany Democrats realized the original HEAT Act was unfeasible. So they put on a new fancy coat of paint and gave it a new name. But make no mistake, this bill is just like the HEAT Act. Unlike the name suggests, it doesn't save people money. or increase energy reliability. New York is on a runaway train towards economic disaster due to Albany's Democrats' Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or the Green New Deal-style takeover of the grid. I'm very concerned about these costly, misguided policies, including the repeal of the 100-foot rule, which is intended to move the state completely off natural gas and toward full electrification, even though conversion costs are exorbitant and the state grid cannot handle it. This is yet another example of Albany Democrats being completely out of touch with the interests and needs of New York families and businesses. Their reckless energy climate agenda continues to be unaffordable, unreliable, and unfeasible, and is simply designed to dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply, and delivery system. It is designed to take away consumer choice about how you heat your home, cook your food, power your buildings, and the vehicles you drive. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, leading to dangerous blackouts. Think about that in our rural area in the summer when it's so hot and in the winter when it's so cold. It will continue New York's nation-leading out-migration crisis of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving the state. And he had 3 to 4 business people, more than that, 6, 7 business people, stakeholders, discussing at the press conference, slamming it, the revised New York Key Act, which puts us on that trail to disaster. Okay, we got a couple comments coming in. We'll read those. Around 7:20, we're going to talk with Kim Frock about a really amazing opportunity if you're thinking of going to college. But one last thing, we are going to talk about Cuomo quickly when we come back. Let's end our Albany discussion on a positive note. How's that? I will say Phil Palmisano's press conference was a very positive note because he's highlighting the disastrous Heat Act. So thank you to the Assemblyman. But also another positive note. Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski is holding a summer reading challenge for grades kindergarten through 7th, saying, I want to do something to encourage kids to keep reading during the summer break. Reading keeps your mind sharp, prevents the summer slide, and helps kids succeed in school. Students who read 15 minutes a day for 40 days between July and August will receive an official New York State Assembly Excellence in Reading Certificate from Assemblyman Sempolinski. The program is sponsored by Assemblyman Sempolinski and the New York State Assembly. The challenge begins July 1st and ends August 31st. Registration is now open. Parents or guardians can register their children right there by scanning the QR code. And if we have, next time we have Joe on, we'll ask if we can do a special Frankly Speaking one, where we must read 15 minutes a day for 40 days starting in July. Because I want that certificate, darn it. Thank you to Joe. I don't want the summer slide. I think we have sometimes winter, summer slide here on Frankly Speaking. A lot of comments coming in. Keep them coming in. We'll read them when we come back. Still a guest. Looking forward to it. Still your comments. Still a lot to cover. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
In today's securing your business is more important than ever. Protected with Boss Security's state-of-the-art alarm systems. When seconds matter, trust the experts. Boss Security is proud to safeguard local businesses across the Twin Tiers. Contact Boss Security today.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
Big Fox 10 PM News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's read some viewer comments. A viewer comment section of our program brought to you by Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. This viewer writes, the limiting of cows is wrong. We have a large farm building, huge barns, 135 feet wide, 540 feet long. For them, the house, 3,500 cows. What will happen to the investment? Well, I don't, let me put it this way. I think the way the bill is proposed, they are stopping the permits, so you would be grandfathered in. Let's hope that never gets that far. Now, Hochul said she wouldn't sign it, but listen, folks, with one-party rule, you can never... Bail reform was laughable when it first came out. Everybody said, no, we're not going to really coddle criminals and handcuff law enforcement. There's no way Albany's that crazy. And here we are. So it is wrong. It's a huge government overreach. Of course, it was proposed by representatives in Manhattan and Brooklyn, people who have never even seen a farm, most likely, let alone know the day-to-day operation at a farm. And I'm glad you did not give us your name, because if you have 3,500 cows, I'd hate to have law enforcement show up at your door. So we'll keep your identity secret from Albany. So don't worry, we won't pass along that number to any agents. And if you recall, we had fun on the show when this story first broke, when we shouldn't laugh at it, because you never know what's going to happen out of Albany. But people coming up with bureaucratic names for cow counters that people would have to go around to farms to make sure you didn't have 701, or I guess 700, that you had 699. So thank you for the picture too. I didn't have time to put it up on the screen, but thank you. The barn looks amazing. Comment from a different viewer. If Climate Fact Friday Bob runs with Elise Stefanik as lieutenant governor, New York will have to build a wall to keep everyone from coming back. Grill, baby, grill. I love it. I'm sure Climate Fact Friday Bob appreciates it as well. All right, we do have to take another break because we're going to our guest, Kim Frock. It's just a quick interview, but this is really important. If you're thinking or have thought about going to school, going to college, maybe you're at a point in your career where you're saying, I can't really move up. I want to, maybe get a better job. You've got to hear about this. What SUNY is offering is quite remarkable, quite amazing. So that's coming up. Just a quick little interview. Then we'll get back to, because I just have to mention maybe 1-2 things about the mayoral debate, and then we have a lot about ICE. Thank you for all the comments. I hope, honestly, I hope Elise Stefanik is watching the program this morning. Because we've had such nice things being said about Elise Stefanik and the great job that she did yesterday grilling Governor Hochul, showing how gubernatorial she can and will be. It's just a matter of when she is going to announce. My thoughts, the sooner the better. I think Republicans have historically waited too long, other than Lee Zeldin. But that's her decision, one way or the other. We would just like to know. Because as many people said at the time, when we finally get our inflation reduction checks, what was it, $120, something like that, or $200 or whatever, from the governor, donating it to Elise Stefanik's campaign. So if nothing else, you better declare before, I think, October, when those checks are going to be hitting the mailbox. One other thing. I know, I'm rambling on. Tuesday is the school vote, the budget vote. We've talked about it a little bit in the past. We have the information if you want to discuss that. What's your thoughts on it? I know Corning Inc. gave the $1.8 million. It's been a kind of quiet on the Western Front, so to speak, as people have not been weighing in on it as much as the last go-around, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and we'll be talking about about it more extensively on Monday and, of course, Tuesday, because Tuesday is a budget day. And then next week is going to be very busy with legislative candidates because it's the primary. The primary is coming up on the 24th, and there are, which is surprising because it's not surprising, but it just doesn't happen that often. There are numerous primary challenges in our region. So, with all of that being said, stay with us. Kim Frock is our guest coming up in just a little bit. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
William Mattar has been a great brother, but I was surprised to learn how many people knew he was my brother.
William Mattar's on this?
Oh, brother.
Because when Big Insurance finds out that he's on a car crash case.
So who's on this?
They hired William Mattar.
Oh, brother.
Word travels fast.
You know, they got Mattar on this. Mattar?
Oh, brother.
Hurt in a car? Call my brother, William Mattar. 444-4444.
It's the Glen Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta June 14th at 2 p.m. It'll be a great time, and you'll be saying H2O to these boat designs. So what are you doing June 14th? Go to the Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta.
Stay tuned to find out how you can get the latest in diabetes technology at little or no cost from US Med. Avoid complications like nerve damage, kidney failure, eye and cardiovascular problems. US Med's CGM systems offer round-the-clock glucose monitoring in real time, provide alerts, and help users avoid painful finger sticks. US Med works with most insurers, Medicare, and offers a money-back guarantee. Call 800-681-3147.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta. A day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark, get set, row.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud. 7 and 7:30.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this is the Steuben County Office for the Aging section of our program. And joining us in the studio, Kim Frock. Thanks so much for being on the program.
I'm delighted to be here.
First of all, wait till you hear about this. Well, we're going to talk about it in a second, but first, let me just say congratulations, Administrator in Charge at SUNY Corning Community College.
Well, thank you.
How's it going so far?
Awesome.
Great, yeah. Well, it's got to be going great to kick off with a program like this.
It's an amazing opportunity.
It is, and it's called SUNY Reconnect. Tell us a little bit about who is eligible for this program.
Sure. So SUNY is offering free community college tuition to New York State residents between the ages of 25 and 55 for degrees in high demand fields. So obviously you need to live in New York State.
Sure.
You need to be in that age group without a prior college degree.
Okay.
But other than that, if you want to pursue a degree in one of the high demand fields that have been identified, and there's a list on our website, it's free tuition, books, supplies, fees.
And you mentioned you can't have a degree, but let's say I started college and I got a couple of credits, but life happened.
Didn't finish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you still eligible?
Yes. So, and there is credit for prior learning. So if you have prior college credits, those will be taken into consideration if they are relevant for the degree program that you want to pursue. If you have micro-credentials or professional certifications, those are also considered prior learning credit.
Sure.
And if you have relevant work experience and skills that align with the requirements of the coursework in that degree, that you can receive prior credit for that as well.
And there's such a need for, and I'm not going to go through the whole list because it's quite an extensive list of these high demand fields, but think of the need in our community and in the state in general for nursing, chemical dependency counseling, cybersecurity. I mean, things that I know nothing about too. There are some pretty fancy things on here, but it's such an opportunity for viewers of this program, but opportunity for New York State, to be honest.
Yes, so SUNY is sponsoring this because New York, the governor and the chancellor are well aware that we have staffing shortages in these high demand fields across the state, and so they want to make sure that they can support the economic growth in New York, but also provide an opportunity for our residents to upskill and to have job mobility and to earn a better income.
And it's great to be proactive because this is coming to a head where in some of these there's a huge need in our area.
There really is. The other great thing about this program is if folks in this age group want to pursue a college degree, they can do it part-time or full-time.
Okay.
So if they're working and have a family and can't just stop working and go back full-time, as long as you take 6 credit hours per semester, you have 10 semesters to get your degree. And so part-time students are encouraged and welcome, as well as full-time students.
And that's wonderful because, as you say, especially with this age group, 25 to 55, life happens. You have responsibilities, and you can't just take the time off. So to be able to do part-time or to be kind of flexible in that way goes to show you, I think, how amazing the SUNY Reconnect program is, that they took these things into consideration.
Absolutely. I mean, they really want this to work for businesses and for our residents and community members. And it is an amazing opportunity that is unheard of.
It really is.
It's free tuition, books, supplies, fees. Everything except transportation and meals.
It was hard to believe when I received the press release on this. It almost seems too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yes, actually it does. We're encouraging people, if they are interested in pursuing a degree, whether they start in the fall or they wait and start in the spring, to go to the Corning Community College website, fill out the information forms, and provide us information on what degree program you might be interested in, and also, if you work, what your work schedule is, so that we can figure out how to schedule classes to accommodate what you're going to be able to do.
So catered to them even. Wow, this is now I don't want to ask a negative question, but I think people may be asking, as we keep saying, life happens. What if I start this and I can't finish?
Nothing happens. There are no repayment obligations, no penalties. And the other interesting thing is, once you get your degree, if it's in a high demand field and your family has to move, you're not required to stay in New York State afterwards.
This is just a wonderful program, SUNY Reconnect. And again, it helps the community, but it also helps the state. Everybody wins in this deal. And that, you can't normally say that.
Yes.
So what do people need to know if they're hearing this, they want to participate? Where do they get started?
So go to the college's website. There will be a button on the landing page that says free college tuition. Click on that and it will give you all the information that you need. There's also a phone number to call on the website specifically for this program. If you have any issues with filling out the information forms, there's someone that you can call and actually have a live person to talk to.
Perfect. And one last question. I know there's somebody watching right now and they're saying, I'm 55. There's no way I'll be able to finish by the time before I turn 56. Can they still apply?
Yes. You only have to be 55 on January 1st of the year that you apply.
Okay, so
if you're 55 on January 1st and you start in September and you're 56 at that point, you can still start. And you don't have to be 55 when you finish.
So
just on the day that you start.
Gotcha. So 25 to 55 is called SUNY Reconnect. Find out more at corning-cc.edu. Kim, thanks so much for being on the program. And again, congratulations. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about we. Thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
Fox website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thank you to Kim Frock for being our guest this morning. Thanks about that program. You can find out more at SUNY Corning Community College's website. Okay, comment from a viewer during our Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. Frank, I couldn't help but recall this while discussing Hochul and the ongoing cow saga. So clueless, aren't they? And sent a great clip. And I had forgotten about this, but this was Mike Bloomberg. Now, keep in mind, Mike Bloomberg was the mayor of New York City, and he just recently endorsed Governor Cuomo. He said back in 2016 in a clip discussing farmers, he said, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, suggesting it's easy and takes less, quote, gray matter, and that anyone could do it. So that is the mindset of those who specifically live in the city. Now, speaking of that, Cuomo during the debate, and we're not going to talk a lot about this, but Cuomo during the debate was asked about his nursing home decision during COVID. And it became a flashpoint. And to show his ego and his arrogance, he has still refused to apologize. The still, and rightfully so, controversial issue, it should be controversial. It's one of, if not the worst decision made during all the COVID pandemic. It came after Cuomo admitted that he not only saw a controversial report on nursing home COVID-19 deaths while he was governor, but may have had a hand in doctoring the document. City Comptroller Lander pounced on the issue by inviting Peter Urbini, whose father died from COVID shortly after a rehab stint at a local nursing home, as a guest. Andrew, this is Peter Urbini said as the crowd cheered. His father, Norman, died because of your disastrous order to send people with COVID into nursing homes. Then, as you admitted this week, you hid the real death toll and lied to families about it for 5 years. Yeah. And Elise Stefanik, again, I know we're talking about a lot about Elise Stefanik, but she had that great line of questioning for Cuomo when he was on Capitol Hill about these COVID deaths, saying you should never serve an elected office ever again. So, Lander continued, so tonight, will you finally apologize to Peter and other grieving New Yorkers? And that's when the crowd applauded. Or will you just keep gaslighting them with more blather about what a great job you claim you did? Good lines. Now, does this move the needle? No. You know my thoughts. I think Cuomo's going to be mayor, but I'm glad he's being called out for this, bringing this to people's attentions that may not be paying attention. Cuomo tried to dodge by dinging Lander as supposedly being an inauthentic New Yorker. Wow. So arrogant, so smug. He still can't apologize to all those grieving family members. Maybe where you come from in St. Louis, facts don't matter, but here they do. He then apologized to Arbini, but pointedly didn't offer mea culpa for anything else. Mr. Arbini lost a father. I'm very, very sorry for that. Excuse me. Cuomo noted Arbini sued the state in a case and contended legal papers in the case found no COVID-positive person was sent from a hospital to a nursing home. So it is factually impossible, Brad, he said, sarcastically emphasizing his opponent's name, that he got COVID, okay, from someone coming from a hospital. So still refusing yet again to apologize. He also batted away the sexual harassment allegations, saying it was all political. No, Cuomo's never done anything wrong. Just ask him. Is that enough on Cuomo? I think so. Let's talk about, I promised I would mention this early in the program. CNN's Anderson Cooper rakes in $18 million annually as the network faces spinoff amid ratings free fall. He is in the crosshairs because the ratings challenge network is being spun off by its debt-ridden parent company. $18 million, and his ratings are in a free fall. Wow. Okay, here we go. An appeals court temporarily blocked the federal judge's order directing Trump to return control of the National Guard to California. This is a ping-pong match back and forth, like has been the beginning of the Trump administration, where so many activist judges are jumping on his policies, and then other judges having to come in and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. An appeals court panel on Thursday allowed the Trump administration to keep thousands of National Guard troops deployed in L.A. to quell the anti-ICE riots. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit issued the administrative stay just hours after a federal judge ruled that President Trump must return control of the Guardsmen to the state of California. Okay, now, that was just a quick update. We're going to get to your comments here in just a little bit. But the big topic this morning is Senator Alex Padilla's freak out during Kristi Noem's press conference. This is Carolyn Leavitt. Democrat Senator Alex Padilla should be ashamed of his childish behavior today. He crashed the middle of an official press conference being held by a cabinet secretary, recklessly lunging towards the podium where Noem was speaking, and then refused to leave the room and follow the direction of law enforcement. They said there was concern by Secret Service as this man lunged towards Noem. Now, keep in mind, not too many people would know who Senator Alex Padilla is, so not sure if they weren't sure if he was a threat. Padilla was handcuffed and briefly detained after he interrupted the DHS's chief's briefing. This is making the media rounds. Gavin Newsom is trying to use this as a sign of authoritarianism by the Trump administration. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said, "Thank you to all media outlets for playing the Padilla freakout video. Shows the public what a complete lunatic Padilla is by rushing towards Secretary Noem and disrupting the informative press conference," calling him later unhinged. Noem tweeting, "I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning, having a conversation, rather than creating a scene." Former Vice President Kamala Harris saying United States Senator Alex Padilla was representing the millions of Californians who are demanding answers to his administration's actions in Southern California. This is shameful and a stunning abuse of power. So I guess in this narrative that we're supposed to believe that Kamala Harris is pushing or the media is pushing, it is okay to lunge towards a cabinet official shouting down at a press conference. Of course, we know what this is. It's political theater. It's to get the attention, and he's getting that attention. But the people jumping on the bandwagon defending him and suggesting this, like Harris said, that this speaks to the people. What would happen if you or I did that? It would be a lot worse than handcuffs. So he is forcibly removed. They did have a conversation later. He said, "I was there peacefully. At one point I had a question, so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground and I was handcuffed." Now, if you see the videos or you hear Kristi Noem's account, a little bit different than how he's presenting this peaceful interaction. This is Noem. We were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring people peace to the city of Los Angeles, and this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped. Did not identify himself and was removed from the room. So you know my thoughts, and I've said this numerous times, where these people that want their congressperson to hold a town hall don't really even want that to happen. They either want to be able to shut down the congressperson, yell and scream and harass, or they hold these empty chair town halls, and they would actually be disappointed if their congressperson attended. The same goes here. He got exactly what he wanted. He wanted the optics. This was not done in good faith. He knew that this wasn't peaceful questioning. He knew that wasn't the time to ask the questions. That could come later, and it did actually. He did have that opportunity to talk with Kristi Noem. But he got exactly what he wanted, which was the attention, the media praising him, Gavin Newsom putting him on a pedestal. But at the end of the day, this was nothing but political theater, and the American people see it for what it is. Even some in his own party seeing it for what it is, because it's this idea of the face of the resistance, right? It's the same as Maxine Waters and others going to these ICE detention centers and trying to get arrested. That's why Kathy Hochul at that hearing yesterday saying to Tom Homan, sure, come to Albany, arrest me. This is the resistance that they want, and it's nothing more than political theater. Democrat Representative Jared Golden criticized his fellow Democrats, specifically Representative LaMonica McIver and Senator Alex Padilla, for getting involved in incidents he labeled as, quote, politics as theater. In a statement to Axios, Golden explained that storming into the FBI headquarters and trying to break up a press conference and rushing towards a cabinet member is not really the job of an elected official. No. And if it were anybody else, I'm sure it would have went a lot worse, even though he didn't identify himself. But that's just a dangerous situation he put himself in. And you know, by doing that to a sitting cabinet member, he wanted the arrest. He wanted the handcuffs. He wanted that attention, because that is now the MO, modus operandi, of the resistance. Golden continued, I don't think politics as theater is what our job is here. And I couldn't agree more. But that is what it's become. It's been the theater. It's to get the media's attention. New York lawmakers raged against the California senator forced to the ground by federal officials again. So they want you to ignore the fact that a man rushed towards a sitting cabinet member who did not offer his identity, was screaming at a press conference when, again, there would have been time for question, as we learned later. Now, some accounts say that he did say who he was, but that seems like after the fact. But in New York, as I mentioned, Chuck Schumer said, I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the, we'll say, heck went on. Kirsten Gillibrand condemned the Trump administration for the incident and said it should be ashamed of itself. Senator Padilla was elected by the people of California to represent their communities, which includes asking the tough questions. This administration should be ashamed. I have been to Chuck Schumer press conferences. I don't think if I presented myself in the same fashion as the senator did, that Chuck Schumer would feel sick to his stomach if I was arrested. Same goes with Gillibrand. Gillibrand doesn't like being asked questions. We saw that during the various debates she's had to have when she has competition. She does not like being asked questions. I don't think she would appreciate that same scenario happening. But they know the media is not going to say, well, what would you do if this same exact thing happened to you? How would you handle it? How would your security handle it? But they know they can get away with saying these type of things because the media will not ask that follow-up question. All right, we got to take a short break. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. It's been a busy morning. We're going to talk about what Gavin Newsom had to say about it. A couple other things on that and ICE in general. And then, of course, if you want to talk about it, we don't have a lot of new updates on it. There's 1,900, I think they said, cities where the No Kings protests are taking place this Saturday. That's being done this Saturday because Trump is having the Army celebration, the 250th anniversary of the creation of the Army, celebrating that with that military parade. And it also happens to be Flag Day. It also happens to be his birthday. I think it's the birthday part that kind of sticks in the craw of many on the left. So they're having, if you will, counter-protest, calling it No King Day. I know there are some being set up locally. I don't have all the specifics. I would pass that along to you if I did. It's not keeping it from you. I just don't have the specifics. But your thoughts on that. So we'll read your comments when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Hey, this is John with John's Tree Service. We are locally owned and insured and rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau. John's Tree Service, your source for all your tree needs, where customer satisfaction is our guarantee. Give us a call today at 607-377-6513.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam with our picturesque view of historic Market Street, brought to you by Boss Security. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on said historic Market Street. And let's go to the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. Steuben Senior Services Fund, empowering seniors to age at home. This is the section of the program where we read viewer comments. I missed a couple because they're all coming in fast and furious, so we'll read a few more in the next break as well. Comment from this viewer regarding the ignorant anti-farmer. That person you speak of is former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, a big, heavy donor to the Democrat Party, not a big Trump guy. He was a very, what's the word I want to look for, very heavy-handed in his time. He was the one that banned trans fats, where you had to put calorie counts on menus, where smoking laws completely changed. But back to your point, I wonder if he knows how much nitrogen, for example, to use for a specific crop, or if he knows what fertilizer is required to maximize the yield, etc. Absolutely no. Absolutely not. He is one of those kind of New York elitists that just believe that somehow the milk magically appears in the bodega, or the fresh fruits and vegetables. He lives in he's a very, very rich man. He lives in a bubble. He's one of the world's richest men. He lives in a bubble and doesn't understand those things at all. So yes, it is very frustrating when you see people like him be so condescending, especially when behind the scenes he did not, at least when it came to laws and the actual work of government, he didn't seem to be too smart himself. Comment from a different viewer. The Democrats have to be incredibly frustrated if Cuomo is all they can come up with. I would think if you're a Democrat, you've got to be frustrated in general over him being back, and because we know he's not done. Many people in his inner circle, many anonymous sources continue to say that he has some type of plan, whether it's to run for president. Remember, we see his ego. Don't think for a moment you're saying, well, Frank, there's no way. Don't think for a moment he's not thinking of a presidential run, because he was still talking about running for president when his polling number was, what was it, less than 1%. It was like 0.4% nationwide. This is before COVID, and he was still considering running. So he has some delusions of grandeur. That's for sure. All right, we'll get to one more comment, then we will take a break and read the rest of your comments. I love it. By the way, Gavin Newsom did say Trump and his shock troops, that's the term he used, are out of control about the Padilla interruption. Senator Alex Padilla is one of the most decent people I know. This is outrageous, dictatorial, and shameful. Trump and his shock troops are out of control. This must end now. That's Newsom begging and pleading for people to give him another chance after his disastrous handling of not only the wildfires, but also his disastrous handling right now of the LA riots. He's really hoping to get his name back in there because he wants to run for president. That is crystal clear. Okay. Comment from a viewer. In regards to Padilla, the Democrats show the world every day the extent of the mental health crisis within their party. They are hanging themselves and are so narcissistic they don't get it. Yes, I don't think the optics on this politically, I know they think this political theater is great. I think the American people see someone like Padilla, for instance, or even a Cory Booker give that 25-hour speech and say, what's this accomplishing? What is this doing for me, the taxpayer? The hardworking American taxpayer. But we got to take a break. Reading all your comments when we come back. I'll probably wrap up the whole show. We've got so many coming in. I appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Seniors is a huge problem today. Worldwide, seniors lost $4.8 billion to scammers in 2024. The Steuben County Office for the Aging is here to help. Come to our seminar, Recognizing and Avoiding Financial Scams and Identifying Elder Abuse, Monday, June 18th at the Centenary United Methodist Church in Bath from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Learn how to identify scams, how to protect yourself, and fraud watch tips. Come to Centenary United Methodist Church in Bath, New York from 1:30 to 4 p.m. on June 18th. Learn more. Go to steubencountiny.gov/235.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. News on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of where we read viewer comments. So many comments coming in this morning. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for having so much fun with me. Here we go. Mark writes in, shame on you, Cuomo. You know what you did was wrong to put seniors in nursing homes, and your big bad ego refuses you to use the mercy ship provided to you by Trump. Anyone for New York City mayor besides you. Shame is exactly the right term. Comment from a different viewer. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I just, you want to know my thoughts about the Democrat governor the Democrat governors that were called before Congress yesterday to explain their unconstitutional stance of sanctuary states. They all dodged every question, had no answers except their narcissistic political agenda stance. They've been exposed as un-American, incompetent, out-of-touch political hacks. Hacks is a good term. I saw someone refer to Hochul's performance as pathetic. And no real answers, but boy, it made yet again a rising star out of Elise Stefanik. Comment from a different viewer. What a legacy. I spoke for 24 hours about nothing. Hey, 25 hours and 5 minutes. But yes, about nothing. At one point, he started talking about the Bills being the only real New York team. I mean, he really had to fill some time. Yeah, and accomplished nothing. Next up, Ken writes in, nothing surprising about the Alex Padilla ordeal. A senator that no one knew existed is now headline news, and his face is all over legacy media. The Democrats will heap praise on him and use the takedown as a hammer to bash Trump for his lawless authoritarian administration. And you hit the nail right on the head, Ken, because that's exactly what they've been doing. Again, I would ask the question, and I know we're not going to get to all these comments. I would ask the question, if put politics aside, whether you like Trump or not Trump, is this acceptable to rush towards a sitting cabinet member or any politician for that matter, screaming and yelling? I think it goes without saying that he got exactly what he wanted, which was to be thrown in handcuffs. Okay, comment from a different viewer. Iran is finally getting stopped. The failure of Carter has been allowed to linger too long. Thank you. Ken writes in, I am really embarrassed. I never realized that the military parade and festivities happening tomorrow wasn't something Trump was orchestrating to celebrate my wife and my's 39th anniversary. I think that's a part of it. I think the military parade is in celebration of your 39th anniversary. Congratulations, by the way. And everything but Trump's birthday. How's that? Final comment, because we are out of time. And by the way, Rick, I can get to that Monday, your comment, but there's just a few things in there that I think have updated since maybe when you wrote it, or maybe if you haven't checked certain news yet this morning. Okay, final comment. The crew will say hello. Yes, we have a viewer that's going to be at the Cardboard Boat Regatta tomorrow. He thinks his vessel, the first time I think he said he's done it in 5 years or 6 years, he's back at it, coming out of retirement. He thinks the vessel is the Rusty Bucket. Well, yes, please come over and say hi. Look forward to talking with you and having a blast tomorrow at the Cardboard Boat Regatta. And I hope you have a great weekend, folks. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We'll be back Monday morning with Frankly Speaking right here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I look forward to it already. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.